They're calling attention to the extreme levels of violence against Aboriginal women in Central Australia, levels which have driven the Northern Territory's coroner to exasperation. Last year, he wrote a searing report on the deaths of 2 women who'd been repeatedly abused in the decade before their deaths. Bridget Brennan went to Alice Springs to meet the Aboriginal women sick of feeling invisible and ignored, and who are now doing something about it.
On the edge of Alice Springs, this town camp was home to 36-year-old Kumanjai Murphy. She raised her 2 children here, and she was proud of her Charles Creek community.
She got awarded for the tidiest yard, and she come bragging about it, and I'm like, yeah, that's really good, because once you've done that, everyone else will see it in the camp and they'll catch on. And then that was the last thing I've said to her, and yeah. It was that praising of her last time, of that she was happy that she actually won an award for her house.
Just days later, Kumanjai Murphy was viciously and repeatedly assaulted by her husband. When dawn broke, she was found dead.
Got woken up about 7:30 with a bang on my door. One of my brothers came, "Oh, we lost so-and-so," and I'm like, nah. You got to be kidding me.
Shirlene Campbell is heartbroken that no one stepped in to save her aunt.
This is what made me wild and angry. Sick to my stomach as well, is that, yeah, they were all drinking. That's enough. That's only 2 people arguing. They're going to wake up next day. They didn't realise the reality in this one. They should thought that how many times that she's been through domestic violence with this particular person.
Shirlene Campbell's family has been torn apart by domestic violence. Not just 1, but 2 of her aunts were terrorised by their partners for years. They're now both dead.
They both were bubbly and bright. Since they're gone, it was like losing a mum over and over again.
Each week, Shirlene Campbell meets with these town camp women, sharing stories of survival. It's taken enormous courage for them to be here.
Everyone here. You've had a hard time. Very.
Gwen Gillen has just escaped a violent relationship.
But come through it, hey?
Yeah, safe. Just safe now. And it was a long journey too.
How long?
Too long. And I got it.
When there's family violence going on between us women and from other people, we get together and we support that person, ourselves.
Some of the women are caring for grandchildren whose mothers have been killed.
Yeah, they get into mischief now and then. So I tell them to behave themselves and things like that.
So you're doing this for your family?
Yeah. Some of them, grandchildren of mine, hasn't got parents.
Last year, the Northern Territory coroner called violence against women in Aboriginal communities a contagion. 15 Indigenous women have been killed in the last 5 years. A third of those were from the town camps of Alice Springs.
And these footprints here, these are different races.
We're mums and grandmas and aunties with those 2 that passed away. One was a dedicated youth worker, looking after the youths on the streets. And the one that was up the road, she was dedicated and really warm-hearted for her family and for her nieces and nephews.
There isn't equality when it comes to the death of a non-Indigenous woman and the death of an Indigenous woman through domestic violence.
I have to say the service is busy.
Di Gippy runs the Alice Springs Women's Shelter, which acts as a homicide prevention service for Aboriginal women.
So we see a lot of physical injuries, broken bones, broken legs, broken arms. We've seen women who've had to have their spleens removed from being kicked in the spleen and splitting them, and the injuries are horrible. They are like a war zone injuries. It's what you expect to see in a war zone sometimes when you come down to the shelter, because the injuries are horrific.
Alcohol is an enabler and a causal factor in my view, but separate to that is the power-distance relationship. You know, the gender inequality, I believe, contributes to the power and control that men have over women. And we've got to also educate men in particular about their roles.
The concern of many of the women in the town camps is that for serial offenders, men who repeatedly beat their partners, jail time has very little effect on them. And it's a concern shared by the Northern Territory coroner, who says the stark reality is that the criminal justice system is doing very little to keep these victims safe.
We have to look at addressing the vacuum of leadership of Aboriginal men and addressing the lack of role models for the young men within our community.
Walter Shaw is the Chief Executive of Tungunjira Council, which manages 16 town camps around Alice Springs.
The issues that I'm seeing now and witnessing existed 40 years ago. I don't want to see it exist in the next 40 years.
Today in Alice Springs, hundreds of women marched through the centre of town, demanding visibility, safety and equality. Scenes like these are unprecedented.
This is where we're starting to make a stand now as town camp women, that we want to stop the violence in our town camp, and we want to protect our elderly women and our young girls, our daughters, our nieces. It's been my first attempt raising this awareness. I'm gobsmacked actually. I'm pleased that we've got ministers from all over Australia.
At the Alice Springs courthouse, they laid flowers remembering the lives that have been taken.
We've got people murdering each other. We've got a lot of women getting murdered. So we're actually here trying to stop the violence. We don't want to accept the violence in our camp. You know, we were frustrated. We just said enough is enough.